Whatever.
You've been silenced, Chris. And in the meantime, hi, my name's Sean Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. You've been unsilenced. You can speak now. You know what? You're free. You can do whatever you want. You're a free man. And we are. This is Avatar: The Last Podcasters. We are so tired. This is our part 2 of the Legacy of Yangchen. Very thorough, very spoilery review. And when I say review, I mean we're going like chapter by chapter. And the thought process is that even if you're reading it, if you want to follow along and stop and start with us, we think that's really cool. Or if you just want to wait until you're done and listen to us talk for like 3 total hours, that's also cool. Last week, aka 10 minutes ago, we got through chapter 15, which is approximately halfway through the book. And this week we're going to cover the rest of it. Chris, thoughts, feelings before we proceed?
We are. This was I was really wholly invested in this book by this point. Really, ever once they got to the Northern Air Temple and things hit the fan, I was pretty hooked on it.
Same. After starting off very nervous, as we mentioned, there was maybe, I'm going to say there was maybe 3 to 4 chapters in there that I was not very fond of, and they were kind of in a row, or like 4 out of 5 chapters. But then as soon as things started happening at the Air Temple, at that point I was like, okay, I don't think it can slow down after this. And I was not disappointed. Spoiler alert. Chris, let's talk about chapter 16. It's called Matters of Pride.
Yes, Matters of Pride. This might be my least favorite chapter. We get pretty much thrown into Yangchen and Kavik gambling with the Zandu, Iwashi, and he and A-Hole, and they really just need to distract him.
This chapter is 3 pages long, 4 pages long, and it just plops you down. It's jarring. It's out of turn. It's out of sequence. And it plops you down with like no context. It's like it's a bad literary device, and it frustrates me. And I would like to move on because we're going to cover everything else in this chapter in the subsequent chapters.
Honestly, it would.
You could pluck this chapter out, and it'd be fine. Be better, maybe.
I think I could literally rip the pages out of the book, and it would flow better.
I think so. We would fill in some gaps with our imaginations because that's what we do. As humans. So, yep. Next chapter, Baited. 17.
Before the previous chapter, Team Avatar discusses what they need to do to find unanimity.
And since
the
chapter name previously was already taken, this one's called Baited, and then underneath it has Last Night.
This one should be called More Previously.
Previously-er, the sequel.
Previously-er, yeah, too.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm done.
Tagline, it gets more previously.
It's more previously. Makes me think of the Kick Puncher titles.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. I'm laughing because no one else is laughing.
Because nobody else wants to watch a movie about a man who punches with the power of kicks.
He punches with the power of
kicks. Oh,
okay.
That's a great cut. Okay.
So, pretty much, Team Avatar needs Yangchen. And when I say Team Avatar, I mean Yangchen, Jujinta, Kavik,
Taegum,
and Akudan. Right.
So proud of myself.
They are the Team Avatar. So Team Avatar pretty much needs Yangchen and the best gambler of their group to stall for time. The game with Sparrow Bones. I believe it's the game. I believe we see that game being played in the episode The Runaway. I think it's that game. It just sounded like that game when describing it.
I can't picture it off the top of my head, but I believe you, and we'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's almost like a 2-sided obelisk, but obelisk is a stand that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the game of Sparrow Bones. Yangchen have a night out and spend. Oh, Yangchen and Kavik have a night out and spend the night together. Next day, they go to the Zongdu meeting, and that leads into the gambling game from chapter 16.
Exactly how you would order that, right?
Yeah, I forget why they had like a night out, but my general consensus of that is that oh, there's like this hint of that their relationship could be mended.
You're starting to feel the chemistry that clicked, like whether or not maybe Yingchen would want to admit it right away, but you're starting to feel the chemistry that just kind of made them friends.
Yeah. Um. So they go to whatever I don't know. Oh yeah, then the maid like catches. She doesn't catch them, but she goes to Yangchen's the next day. She goes to Yangchen's like room, and then she sees um Kavik there. And then of course she's on gossip and be like, oh, well, the Avatar is sleeping with some young water tribe lad. And Yangchen doesn't care because it's going to work in her benefit somehow. I forget how they worded that, but she didn't care that she was going to go blab about it.
Yeah, he full awareness on her part, which is, I don't know, that's kind of a fun dynamic too. Like,
Yeah. So then they get introduced into this kind of this preliminary meeting of the Zongdus, and he has to play the role of he has to kind of go undercover. He has to disguise himself as Lao, I think.
that sounds
So no,
accurate.
it's not Leo. The assistant to Yang Chen. And there's a lot of stuff in here. I feel like a lot of table setting, uh, kind of introducing us to this this area and Awashi and Chase is there with her officials. And it also shows that like Kavik is really good at numbers and stuff.
They have. I kept thinking of them as interns. They all have their interns there with them.
Yeah, no, I am with you on that. Yeah, I did get a very much intern vibe. Yeah, and then somehow they get into a game of Sparrow Bones with Ayawashi.
They essentially drop hints and things all day that make Awashi. They know that he can't
Yeah,
resist. Yeah.
yeah. And that is that leads us to
To
the next chapter.
previously,
Yeah, chapter 18, Hooked. My summary is Yang Chen and Kavik play Sparrow Bones with Ayawashi and Chaisi. He has some piece of art that really upsets Yang Chen. He also has her staff that she auctioned off earlier in the book. He bought it, but he's hanging it up wrong. I don't know why, but that stood out to me.
yeah, just the
Um,
well, it seems like a person of his stature would take care of things, right? But it's like he had nailed through it or something stupid. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it felt
yeah.
intentionally careless, but yeah.
Yang Chen gambles with Ben money. Um, and then I wish he talks about how he used to be a good Zongdu, and Yang Chen disagrees with Iwashi.
I think in this job, it's important to remember that uh, Kavik is disguised and that they're kind of nervous to see if Chai-Si will recognize him as Kalyan's brother. And that's like a little bit of tension, but it's not played too heavily.
Yeah. Um, there's a part in here that I think really stood out for me. Oh, were you confused about the art that he had that upset Yang Chen?
That not really. I think what, if my understanding is right, is that he kind of assumed that she was upset at the whatever that blood substance was, but really it is the fact that it was like a tree, like it was a table made out of a tree that was covered in this, again, whatever that
Yes.
blood substance was. But she was
Yeah.
upset about the tree more so than the blood.
Yeah. I
And
didn't
so I think it
understand the
was just there to
tree.
try to
Like, was the
present
tree
his like
some really
shallow,
old?
like a very old special type of tree or old forgotten
Okay.
type of tree.
Like, if they had said like, "Oh, this is a very special tree from the swamp," or nah, the swamp wouldn't be a. no matter how beautiful a tree is in the swamp, no one's like, "Oh, I got this tree
I
from
got
the
this
swamp."
swamp
I
tree.
just
Right,
saw.
that wouldn't appeal to
Like,
Iwashi. But no, I think
yeah.
I feel like I interpreted it okay, and that it was just meant to represent like Iwashi's kind of ignorance
His yeah,
to
and his
human
complete
problems.
like kind of the he represents greed in a sense of like, oh, like my money can do whatever. Like I don't care about these
It also made it.
things really. Like it's all just a point for my own attention and my own gratification.
I also liked that. You know how sometimes they get mad when bad guys are like super OP in every way, and like this in
Yeah.
a this I thought was a good way because it made me feel like, oh, they have a chance in this heist. Like he's not reacting to Yang Chen's emotions, or like he's not actually aware of what's really going on. It made me like, oh, this, like, I can see how this is gonna work out for them, even though he's good at games. Um,
Mhm.
he didn't feel like he was 2 steps ahead of him in every regard.
Yeah. So they all start putting up like big, huge money and stuff. um, Chasey gambles. So this is important. She gambles a like a pearl is what I'm getting from around her neck that kind of that we I think get the sense of that it's from her home. No, they say right here.
Mhm.
Yeah. The night Abalone, where I grew up, would very rarely produce pearls of a unique color, but only in the island's most dangerous waters. And then, like he says, "Oh, right, this mysterious home island of yours that no one ever visited in years." That's important, somewhat for
Again, that's
later,
like another
maybe.
demonstration of just his sort of flat ignorance.
Yeah. Uh, but in this game, Yang Chen and Kavik are like really down bad. Like they lost a bunch of money so far, and it doesn't look good. Like Yangchen's like at this point they're not. This isn't part of the plan. At this point, they are just losing.
They meant to lose more slowly
Yeah.
or drag it
Oh, and
out,
then
really.
the part in this chapter that stands out to me is when Awashi talks about how like, oh, I used to be a great Zongdu. Like I used to like, used to be really good to the people and stuff. And he
Did
says
these
like new
things,
leaders,
they had
oh
parades, and then something
yeah,
bad would happen, and then
yeah.
parallel
He says this.
avatar issues.
Yeah, he says one thing of like, I remember when I first took this job, I was very much like the young avatar here. And then uh Shaisi says, don't flatter yourself, Iwashi. She actually works hard. And like this makes me think that like and this supports my thought of this weird perverted sisterhood between Chaisi and Yangchen because Chaisi I think really respects Yangchen. Like really, really respects her. Like she doesn't really see her as it's not that she underestimates Yang Chen, but she doesn't see Yang Chen as an adversary. She sees her maybe as an
Her,
obstacle at times,
yeah, her
but
goal is not to. She's not a big bad in that her goal is to get rid of the avatar. She's the big bad in that her
yes,
goal is just to stabilize her future position.
yeah, yeah. Which is kind of weird. Like it, like now that I think about it, that is the yeah, yeah. Unanimity has to be stopped, but her goal. Oh, never mind. Her goal is
Well,
I forgot.
she
Her goal
even
is to
never really.
kill.
It's like she never really wants war or anything in particular. She just needs unanimity, like it's just a chess piece to her. It's not
Yes,
like she
yeah.
actively wants to go kill a bunch of people. It just,
I mean, she was her plan was to kill the world leaders, and I forgot why because
yeah,
she doesn't really care to kill them. Because she's just like, hey, let me just like, yeah, her end goal isn't necessarily like world domination or anything like that. Like it's like you said, it's much more just like I want to secure myself in what I'm doing
yeah.
and my money and my
Which,
family and things like that.
there again, I always like that kind of bad guy. I don't need every Marvel movie to end in a universe-saving ordeal. Uh, I like I like it. Part of what makes Tracy an
Yeah,
appealing villain. But yeah, definitely some respect here. You get the sense that she means what she says about Yang Chen.
Yeah. And she also Awashi goes on to say like the true problem, and he's having this moment of like I feel like trying to display some genius or smartness that he doesn't possess, but he's trying to make it look like he's all knowledgeable. So he goes to say the true problem with the world lies deep inside humanity itself, and despite your best efforts, it will never be fixed. Mankind is a poor investment, a barren field. The less you do for it, the better. Yang Chen hates this. She says, "You are wrong, Awashi. You are wrong, and you always will be." Like in my head, she says that in such a very defining, um, matter of fact way. That almost like I don't know, besmirched by the statement. And that's all I got for that chapter.
Hmm? Uh,
Okay.
Fun. It was. I'll say it's fun to see a different game explained other than Pie Show. Right. It's fun to have a different game here, and it probably necessitated it for the way that stuff's about to go down.
Yeah.
Next chapter.
Chapter.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Very fine. Chapter 19 landed. Comet figures out Iwashi's cheating in this game, and so then they cheat by things like bending sweat to move the pieces and literally turning up the heat.
It. I was to say this is a. I haven't liked the chronology and the order of writing, and I don't really even love heist movies or that type of content, but I do love the progression of this chapter from like the very beginning of the chapter here I'm reading where they're like in legitimate panic mode
Yeah.
to by the end of this chapter. This is like the whole payoff chapter where their schemes to get back in the game and get back ahead fiscally, essentially to out cheat Iwashi, are working, getting him to stop on time, like getting him to quit while
Mm.
they're ahead. The timing and looking outside the window and seeing the ship ablaze, which is the most important part of the plan that we haven't really talked about yet. But the rest of Team Avatar setting the Bliss Eternal on fire and stealing some documents out of it. So this chapter swings the complete 180 from like this plan is failing and we're losing Benner's money rapidly to no, everything is working in perfect succession.
Yeah. Um, and the dang it, what the heck was I about to say? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking here.
Again,
Oh, I
Chassis.
could like, yeah, I could like imagine a little montage of them just like, oh hey, we won this in, we won this in, we won this in, like just some like montage of like celebrating and stuff. That's what got me like that you would see in like either a heist movie or some gambling movie where someone goes on a spree.
Mm-hmm. You get more insight into Chaisei's character. She tries to stop Iwashi at a certain point, like, "Hey, you
Yeah.
need to read some flow here. This isn't going your way." And also that note that like she's pretty much just even, right? Like she's
Mm-hmm.
just found a way throughout all this other mess to. It's like it makes you wonder if she's also like somehow cheating to a degree, or if she really just is that good that she manages to keep everything level and at bay despite all other parties just rapidly
I really
wildly
don't
cheating.
know if she's a bender or not.
She's
I don't
not,
think
and so I
she
don't
is a
think she's
bender.
cheating. I think she's
She's just smart enough to break even.
yeah, or to yep, that maybe she's really like the statistical genius here. Like I know I can't always beat the odds, but I know how long to play to get back to even or whatever.
Yeah. And thing is, and then she turns like so while she loses a buttload of money, like and Ben is like, oh cool, we got all this money now. Like money to do the things we wanted to do before. But now Iwashi and Taku is losing money. So now that means like he has to make up a new agreement with Chaisei that would make her more money, like I don't know, a loan or something like that.
So she
So
profited in
she
like
ends
a
up,
low
yeah,
risk, high reward way from the
yes,
game.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very clever. So just more insight into like, oh yeah, maybe this chick should rule. She's got it down.
Yeah.
So it's a really exciting chapter. I don't know how much detail we want to dig into, but it is a chapter where the plan turns good and it works out, and then again at the end they look out the window and Iwashi's ship is on fire, which lets us know that Team Avatar is executed their half of the plan, and things
Yes.
are going good.
And those whole last, oh my gosh, that started in chapter 16. Um, should have just went in order. That was the biggest
Just went in
thing we
order.
talked about before.
Yep,
Should have went in freaking order.
I don't get it.
Uh, yeah. Like an editor just had to be like, all right, whatever, just let him have
We gotta
this.
spice
He
this
loves
up.
he loves doing, or maybe it was the other way around. Like, hey, can you put the beginning in the middle, or can you?
Would doing this build tension? No. Oh, what if you did it
I
anyway?
feel really bad. Like I would feel really bad if FCE like he's not gonna listen to this. I hope he doesn't. I mean, one thing I love the books; they're amazing.
Yeah, I hope if he
But
does, he's like, I should talk to these guys and enlighten them.
I feel bad for this
I do too.
critique of it, but
Well,
whatever. Yeah,
you
we gotta
know,
be honest.
big picture, right? Largely positive, and we pick and choose our critiques thoughtfully.
Yeah. Trust me, we care about the book. I'm not sure, if I didn't love the book, or even if I didn't like the book, I don't think I would commit a whole probably 2.5, 3 hours
Yeah, it's
to reviewing
12:06 a.m. Friday morning. I wouldn't be here if I didn't like the book.
it. Okay, chapter 20, anonymity. Oh, it's funny, it's called that. That's like the. Oh wait, no, that's unanimity. I'm confused. Anonymity. After they win, Kavik tried to give back Chasey her pearl, but she politely refuses. She said, "To the winner goes the spoils." He gives Yang Chen back her glider. They leave happy and gleeful in a little romance. They get back to Team Avatar. Yang Chen tried to bring their group together because, so much jovial stuff happening. They're all in good high spirits. Plans are going great. Uh, Kalon eventually crash a meeting between Yang Chen and Kavik. He tells Yang Chen to leave his brother alone, and he also threatens to kill the Earth King in disguise. So this chapter, I think, could also be split into two.
It does feel kind of like a two-parter, but
Yeah,
I get the
although it's
idea of
still
like
not that
building up some
long.
positive before dropping the
Like,
little tension bomb.
Frank, it's actually not that long. It's just 11 pages. Hmm. Yeah, these chapters really aren't like.
Most of them aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, Jujita seemed to be like pissed off that like
The world.
Kavik is. Yeah, but like he really pissed off the Kavik's like cozying up to Yang Chen, and he sees how they're like can get a little closer together. You can just tell in his head he's imagining slitting Kavik's throat
That's good.
and
That's
watching him slowly bleed out.
that's good character, vivid imagery.
And I imagine Yang Chen just like holding both of them by the arm, like, oh come on, guys. Like,
Let's be friends here just for a minute while things are
yeah.
going well.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much that half of it. And then, like I said, the other half is, which is creates a weird uh, kind of dynamic here between Kavik, Kalon, and Yang Chen, and how like Kalon is threatening Yang Chen to not put his brother in danger, but like, it's such a weird place. Like, you're not one to talk.
Yeah, like Kellyanne is doing the whole family loyalty bit and playing to the idea that Yang Chen's like got him brainwashed, got Kavik brainwashed, and that's gotten him into trouble with both having to work for Yang Chen and also the White Lotus. And
Oh, we didn't mention. Yeah, I'm so sorry. We didn't mention like the reason why the plan was a success is because one, they won money, and two, they got a bunch of notes and stuff like shipping notes and stuff like that from the whatever that boat was before they blew it up.
the Eternal Bliss.
Eternal Bliss. Yeah.
Basically trying to track undocumented shipping stuff
Yes.
happening.
Yeah. I don't think that much else happens
Kayon,
in the chapter.
I think it's this chapter that he points out that the Earth King is here.
Yes, yes, it
And
is.
that the Earth King
Like,
is
and oh my
in town
gosh,
in disguise. And so basically he's threatening like, hey, you piss me off, I'll kill the Earth King. And he shows him where the Earth King is.
yeah, this made me so mad at the Earth King. Like,
Yeah,
dude
but
is
it's
paranoid. So paranoid he can't trust his advisors. He's going out in the field by himself with zero training. Like, oh, let me put
just
on
hanging
this
out in public.
this hat.
You ever been in public? You know how dangerous public is, man? You're killing me, Earth King.
Yeah, like even if you were just a regular guy.
Yeah. Don't be stupid, Earth King.
Yeah,
Face on.
but he's stupid though.
He is.
He's trying to get the sense of why they're going to assassinate him.
Yeah, and
But
maybe, I'm not saying I would want to kill him, but maybe it could be worse.
yeah, so that's pretty much that chapter.
Next,
21. Keeping pace. Team Avatar look over records stolen from the burned ship and figures out the location of the origin of unanimity. Or at least they figure out where it could be. They have a really good Yangchen, like does some different detective work, which looked really fancy. I was like, oh, she's getting her Batman on. She's looking at different things. Well, at one point, Batman figures out who Superman is because he can follow Superman's flight patterns, and he sees that like there's a cross section between patterns from the Daily Planet and patterns from this one apartment building, and then he cross reference people in both of those and gets to Clark Kent. And I was like, oh yeah, that was
they,
similar to this.
well, but without spoiling too much too soon, you do get the feeling that there's like a little bit of showmanship happening here. That like they're like, oh, I guess it's feels like a shot in the dark, but okay.
Yeah,
And they decide that in this time, in this gap of time, before the other world leaders arrive, that they're going to go look for this place that they think might be the origin of unanimity.
yep.
It's a
Uh,
fun chapter in the sense that you get the sense that you don't know everything again, still, but
yeah, I like the coming together, brainstorming, trying to do some detective work together.
yeah. Next chapter 22 is called Bonding, and your notes do crack me up here. The trio of Yangchen, Kavik, and Jujinta fly around to look for this secret island, and Jujinta gets mad at both of them. And he lets out some pent up anger at the two of them. How long is this? When does this chapter stop? Maybe that's what I need.
Yeah, so pretty much they're flying around. Chapter ends on 204. They're flying around on Nujin, Nujin, looking for this random island in the middle of nowhere that they probably only got like a 20% chance of being right. And he gets mad at them for some. Oh, they're trying to ask him just like, hey, what's your background and stuff? And he gets pissed off. He's like, what the heck do you know? Like both of you are free. Like the Avatar's adored everywhere she goes, and she's welcome everywhere. Kavik, like you, something. I forget what he said about Kavik, but then he's wrong about both. Like both are cut off in a certain way.
Yeah, he. Yep, and I actually like the last line there is he'd flung his knives blind and caught them both dead center.
Yeah.
In the sense that he was actually wrong in a pretty hurtful, sentimental way. Next
Yep.
chapter is called circumstantial evidence, and this is they've essentially seen this island. They are determining how best to go about, like what next steps are they going to take to get down on the island and do some research. You have in your notes here that it feels eerie, it feels creepy, like they find like an experimental chair that it sort of looks like a torture device maybe, or something akin to that. In this, I'm gonna call it like a commune type of situation. Feels like they
Yeah.
find a little commune, or like what do you call it, internment camp? What's the,
Yeah.
I can't think of the. I'm trying to find the derogatory word, or the right strong
Concentration camp?
concentration camp. Thank you. It feels.
Okay.
I think it gives off that vibe, or it's supposed to.
Ooh, probably, yeah.
And
Yeah,
they,
and they say like the chair has like grooves in it from fingernails digging in it.
yeah, that's that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I really like the chapter. Not to me, not much happens in this chapter, and I was confused by so much of it. Like there was the rings thing, which I still don't understand
I
what
feel like I
that
did
was.
understand it at once. Was it? Why did I think I understood it? Like something they were supposed to be shooting through or swimming through,
Oh,
or
I thought that too. Of just like, all right, like imagine someone trying to shoot through something um, with any type of bending, but then they said it was grease though, as if it was like being so that would create less friction on something. So that part confused me. So I wasn't sure what the rings were used for.
um, yeah, I don't see. I don't know if I see anything that actually explains the rings explicitly. So like we might still be sort of missing or misinterpreting a piece, but I
Yeah,
like that they all feel a spiritual kind of repulsion to this place. Like
yeah,
they can all feel the evil that has occurred here.
yeah. They did find Yang Chen says like she's looks pulls up something. She goes, "This is very old, very archaic air nomad acupuncture map. The energy pathways follow our ancestral theories about chi movement. And there's a lot of overlap with common medical knowledge. So pretty much, I believe this is the origin of chi blocking.
Which may or may not be substantiated fairly soon.
Yeah.
That's a good
But yeah,
good transition. Good transition
yeah. So transition.
to chapter 24, which is called Primary Sources.
I wonder how it's called primary sources. Like I understood circumstantial evidence because like, all right, there's a lot of evidence here. Don't It doesn't really fully prove stuff, but
So
I guess
primary
primary
sources,
sources would
this is where
be
they find the actual evidence,
yeah,
like
sure,
alive and
yeah,
in the flesh.
yes. So they find two leftover kids. Uh, the girl can chi block. She would chi block Kavik. Jujinta gets them to talk. The boy leads Yangchen down to the beach. Underwater was the experiment to learn combustion bending. It also confirms with the boy that there was only 3 successful combustion benders. So yeah, so that's a quick summary. But when they first start off, they find the two kids and they seem like Team Avatar looks at them like, holy crap, like they definitely did some stuff to survive here. Like, what did they do?
Yeah, in the, I mean, the way the kids described that, like they just left, like everybody just up and left, and like no more supplies, no more people, no more new coming recruits.
Yeah. The so then Kavik tries to talk with them, but then they run away. Oh, then the girl chi blocks Kavik, and he doesn't know what chi blocking is. He's just like, I can't bend anymore, and my arm feels numb,
The way they
and I
describe
can't
his
move it.
feelings, kind of funny too. Yeah, cracked
Yeah.
me up.
I bet he wasn't cracking up.
Well, yeah, probably not so funny to him.
One time I was jumping on a trampoline and like we are playing some game called popcorn where you put yourself up and then people jump around you and they try to pop you out
Hmm?
essentially. Like you just jump up too high, they pop you out. But like I landed like on my neck and I couldn't talk. I was like I could breathe, but I just couldn't talk for like 2 seconds. I'm like, now I was trying to say my name. I'm like, four. And it finally came out. That to me, that's what it felt like getting chi blocked. Like imagine something that is just always innately with you, and it just be taken away for like a second without you knowing what the heck is happening.
And it's not like a severed pain or anything. It's just like, hey, that thing just stopped working.
Yeah. Oh, also sleep paralysis. The first time that happened to me, I thought I was dying.
I'm not familiar. Sleep paralysis, like
Oh,
you.
you don't know anything about sleep paralysis? Oh, Sean,
This is
sleep
like where you wake
paralysis
up
is where
during
you.
surgery.
No, it's like where you wake up and you can't move.
Yeah, no, it turns out that never happens to me.
It
It's terrifying. Thanks. I don't
is.
got more
I
reasons
was
not to
like,
sleep at night now. That's cool.
people have called it different things throughout. Like some people think it's a demon sitting on top of you. Like there's like been pictures drawn and like old pictures of like black, very black figures sitting on people and while they sleep in their bed and they can't move. My cousin, who happens to him also, he's a little bit more prophetically religious than me. He thinks he's a prophet. Maybe he's,
Maybe he
but
is. I
he's
don't know
like,
either.
yeah, man, you just gotta pray about that stuff, man. And like, and like for me, I'm just like, I got over it. I just lean into it. I just anyway, yes, sleep paralysis. So your brain, so when you go to sleep, your brain shuts off your body, so you don't act out your dreams and stuff, right? But then, like during certain parts of stages of sleep, your brain can wake up before your body wakes up. And so that happens to me every now and then. It happened. So when it first happened to me, I just wake up and my eyes are open. And I'm just like, I just can't move. I'm just like, what the heck is like? I can't move. Like I feel like I was dying. And then sometimes it was really worse when it just goes like this. It's just like, oh, I'm away. Oh, so then also when I have it, I'm just trying to like move a pinky or something, and then finally I'm like, ooh, like I was trying to move this arm the whole time, and then
Like
finally
suddenly it just
woke up.
works.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Uh, the most terrifying part is where you just go in and out of it. It's just like, ah, okay, and you go back to sleep, and you're like, oh, I'm stuck again. And you're like, "Ugh." And like it happened to me like 15 times in one night, one time. It is scary. So then to get over it, I just lean into it. I'm like, just go deeper into the void almost. Like just welcome it. Don't fight it. Just
Like, yeah, don't
welcome
wake
it.
up,
And
man.
that
You're fine. Well, if you can convince
yeah.
yourself, like, hey, I'm not dying. I just, my body's still asleep. And you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. The benefits of it. So people who typically have sleep paralysis are also lucid dreamers. And so lucid dreaming is where you can like you're dreaming, and then you can sometimes control yourself in your dream. But yeah, the con is that sometimes you get sleep paralysis.
I am
So that
a,
also feels like getting chi blocked.
I'm occasionally a lucid dreamer. No sleep
Oh, okay.
paralysis. Occasionally though, but usually it's not with control. Usually it's just awareness. That level of lucidity. Like
Mm.
every once in a while, I'll get visited by like I'll dream about my grandma, and I'll be like, "But you're dead. This must be a dream." And grandma will be like, "Yeah, dumbass." Like, "Oh, thanks, grandma. That really is you, huh?" And then, nope. That's interesting though. Well, no, it's not interesting. It's terrifying. Now I can't sleep tonight for sure. Long story
Once you
short,
get sleep, once you get sleep paralysis, like dang it, just put it
right,
in
the
the head.
awareness is what made me have it. So chi blocking feels like sleep paralysis. Boom. Theory presented. Uh, so a whole lot does happen in this chapter, right? They're finding out more about unanimity, only having three people, about the island sort of being abandoned, wondering what horrible things these kids had to do to survive, figuring out that this kid can kind of sort of combustion bend. I think he tells them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
tells them some of the horrors also. Uh, so yep, this is a very informative chapter. Very very thriller horror tone setting.
Yeah. Um. There was. Oh, there was. Yeah. So he tells them. There's a moment there where like he tells Yang Chen, the little boy does, um, who's the little combustion bender, of like, oh well, yeah, go down here, takes her to the beach, and she tells him, he tells her something, and she dives into the water, and then she like bends, she so effortlessly bends a freaking hole in the beach, like. I don't think she was. She might have been in Avatar State because it did say the water glowed, so she probably was in Avatar State. But still, it was freaking easy for her. And he said he described it as he said to her, "They had us firebend underwater, not to produce flame. That would have been impossible. The point was to fight against the surrounding pressure and exert as much force and will as you could in a single burst. The initial breakthrough only comes if you really truly believe you're going to die." So
Also
that is
terrifying.
the origins of combustion bending.
Also, at the very end of this chapter, uh, Yang Chen tosses Kavik something that she finds on the beach or somewhere else. I forget where she found it. But she tosses
Yeah.
it to Kavik, and he thinks it's a rock, and then he realizes it's a night abalone.
Oh, is that how you pronounce that?
Uh,
Abalone?
I have no idea. Maybe it's just abalone. Now I gotta look.
Okay.
Since it's not a name and there's an actual pronunciation, I feel like I need to do it justice. But yeah, and then you're like, I get it, even though you already kind of knew. But you know,
Yeah, yeah. The mysterious island that she's from. Oh, you had to search up the. Mhm.
yeah, I was just gonna look up abalone or abalone pronunciation. Oh, it is abalone.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, abalone. Okay, cool.
just like
Sounds
baloney,
somewhat
but
familiar.
there's only one of
Yeah,
them. It's abalone.
and there's not a G in it.
That's which, let's be honest, there shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's stupid. Um,
Minor clerical error there, Chris. That this the price is chapter 25.
oh, crap. Dang it. Everything's off now.
It's
The price, chapter
Thrawn.
25. Ying Chen vows to stop Jay Z. The boy then betrays her and tried to kill her. So that's a quick summation, but this chapter was freaking great. Like,
It was, yeah, it was heart wrenching. It's 5 pages
yeah,
long, but it was like 5 pages of gut wrenching torment.
yeah. I pretty much highlighted all of page 228. So much stuff happened in there.
What it
Um,
what it amounts to is that the little boy, the boy, they were talking. They assumed he was sleeping about the value
mhm,
of combustion benders, and the boy, coming from a place and a lifestyle where he has never felt valuable, suddenly realizes that he is like one of the most valuable commodities in the world. And Yang Chen
yeah.
and Kavik should have noticed or thought about him not being asleep. And so he decides he's going to take it upon himself to kill them. And instead, he himself dies, and also Nujin. Is that what we settled on?
Yeah.
Uh,
Or Nujin.
Nujin
Yeah.
uh, becomes a casualty of war. So the kid unsuccessfully fire. I think that's what we're supposed to take away. Is it was like an unsuccessful combustion bend attempt, or if he tried too much or something, but
Hmm.
unsuccessful, and it killed him. And then also that Nujin got caught in the blast somehow. They're protecting Kavik and
Yeah.
Yangchen.
The the descriptions of Nujin and this little boy are like weirdly graphic. It says
Yeah,
like Nujin ran into Reiti, which that's a little boy, throwing his shaggy. Oh, that's what happened. Nujin hit the boy. That's what took. That's what probably threw off his bending.
like literal
Nujin
fork
ramping.
tackled in the middle of a combustion bend.
Uh huh. Nujin rammed into Reiti, throwing his shaggy mass between his airbender and the danger, Kavik heard the pop pop drumbeat of unanimity technique, but there was no explosion that followed, no fire, only a muffled whoomp. So in my head, I imagine that the attack just got absorbed sort of into the fur and it just created a sound of like woof. Then you go and say Nujin's long, woolly curls fluttered as if taken by a breeze. And then it says, and then suddenly more burst, rapid, too many. A shriek that could have been Rady or Yangchen or even Jujinta. Kava collided with the Avatar and they fell to the grass, dragging Seen, who's the girl, with them. Says Rady lay face up, his lifeless eyes exposed to the sky. A single small wound in the middle of his forehead, no bigger than a punch mark of an owl, trickled trickled blood over his skin, as if pressure of his technique had failed to project past his skull and sought a channel of escape. That sounds like hideous to me, like combustion bending, but it stopped in between your brain and your skull. Like, ugh.
Didn't have no place to go. Caught poor Nujin in the same attempt, and they both died. And it's very
Yeah,
sad. How sad! What depressing 5 pages.
very depressing.
I
Five
feel
pages.
awful for the kid too. Like, kid, you were gonna be free and still also valuable. Just hope.
Yeah. Okay. So, chapter 26, Aftershocks. Kavik reports back to the White Lotus. White Lotus is annoyed he let a new asset, which is the little combustion bender boy, get away, and also he let the other Thoppa get away. And then after that, Team Avatar meets back up. So this made me really hate the White Lotus even more because she's just so insensitive. She's like, you let the acid get away, you let it get away, and Kavik's like, it's not a it, like it's a boy who's dead.
Yeah, they're really like greater good Grindelwald kind of folks.
Hmm. I thought that's all I really got to say about that chapter. Team Avatar didn't meet back up. I forget why they met up. Oh, pretty much just to argue. It ends with them all like we all sacrificed something. Like Yang Chen's
They're sort of
life companion Bison was killed. We both don't have a home. And Jujinta, I forgot what he lost. I mean, he nets nothing. And then they're like, Kavik, what the heck have you given up? Like
Jujinta's thing
nothing.
is that he's not allowed to go back home, or he's not supposed to go back home after what he did, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they're getting together to. It seems in a for you feel like Kavik is in trouble, but you don't really know why. At least that's how I felt when I was reading it. But it turns out they're discussing the next phases of their plan in
Mm,
response
yeah,
to both having lost this new asset and more importantly Nugent.
yeah. Chapter 27, Bereavement. Yangchen meets with the Zondus to plan the summit, kind of also the final kind of agreements and stuff like that. Yangchen seems overwhelmed and defeated, teetering on a breakdown. Chasey mercifully calls for a break. Like, Yangchen comes to this meeting kind of ragged and stuff. Like, her hair isn't as good as it is. She doesn't care about the formalities of it. Um, she just seems like just so defeated. And shit, her lifelong companion has been killed because of the world's problems and humanity. Um, the I don't think I have that much really to add to that. Which is again, so like this relationship, and I say mercifully that Chasey um, asks for a break because I think she actually does care that what Yang Chen is going through is like. you need a break. Even though she doesn't, I don't think she hasn't grasped what was going on, but she can grasp that Yangchen isn't having that she's having a bad time.
This chapter is also kind of sort of the beginning of the end uh,
Yes.
of this grand heisty scheme.
Yeah. All right. Next chapter, chapter 28, Abstraction. My summary is Kavik meets with Kalan. Kalan. Kavik threatens Kalan to reveal everything to Chasey, but sorry, I gotta come up with a consistent pronunciation.
I've been
Kalon.
saying
What do you say,
Kalyan.
Sean?
I don't know.
Kalyan. Okay.
I don't know. There's a Y
Things
there I
that
want to pronounce for some reason.
pretty sure is white. Anyway, okay, I'll start over. Abstraction. Kavik meets with Kalon. Kavik threatens Kalon to reveal everything to Chasey, but Kalon reveals she already knows everything about him because she's her baby daddy. Congrats, you and Uncle. The White Lotus busts in and starts an all-out brawl.
And so this is supposed to be Kavik, like, kind of sort of double crossing Team Avatar again, and then getting away, safely with Brother and all that, right? That's what you're supposed to feel like. And then, yeah, White Lotus shows up and hell breaks loose. And
Yeah, through
where does
and
it
like
end?
the White Lotus coming in is part of not part of Team Avatar's plan. At least I don't think it is.
I don't think it
They're
is, but
still
I
not.
think it's expected, if that makes sense. Like,
Ah, okay. You might be right.
I think it,
Yeah,
or hoped for, like, hey, that's going to be the distraction we need.
yeah.
Oh,
And then the
even
White
where it says
Lotus
two
is what?
different abduction plans had collided.
Hmm. Yeah, because the White Lotus was trying to capture Kaylon because they're like, well, we can't get our hands on Thapa, so let's just get the second in command. Maybe that will help. Uh,
I don't
there's a
think.
part. There's a part here where Kaylon tells after Kavik is trying to blackmail him. Kaylon says like, sorry, Kaylon says, um, uh, yes. When I told Chasey you were my brother, there was no one to pat me on the head and go say good job. And then Kavik goes, wait, what? And then Kaylon responds, wait, what? As if like making fun of him,
Just being a
mocking
douchey
him.
older brother.
Yeah. Wait, what? Duh. Already told her, you idiot. Jeez.
I at the end of this chapter too, I said all hell breaks loose, but that's not true. At the end of this chapter, it's just the the White Lotus and Kalyon's acquaintances are just like strategically circling.
Oh,
So
did I? Okay.
it's not the all hell breaks loose part yet.
Ah, okay. Um. Oh, one part of Kaylon says is that they talk. Him and Kavik goes back, and then uh Kavik tells him like, "You've gone mad. You completely lost it." And Kalyan says, "Nah, I just have faith in the woman I love. She'll be handling your ball shortly enough." And it creates this dynamic of like this double date kind of deal of like you got your
Yeah.
woman that you're in her corner, and I got my woman, and my woman is way better and smarter than your woman, is what uh, Kalon thinks. All right, so that brings us. We're really rounding about here. I don't know how long we're on recording, but we'll keep it going. Hope you're checking the
40
volumes because
minutes.
I'm
Yeah.
not re-recording this, Sean. Oh.
No, I see good volume on both of us. We're good.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Chapter 29, The Pitch. Yang Chen and Chasey have a come to Jesus or a Messiah moment because Yang Chen is the literal Messiah of this world. Yang Chen loses her cool a bit. Chasey tells her a plan to make the position of Zangdu permanent and hereditary. Yeah, so Yang Chen, she is just completely over it. And at this point, I feel like she's completely over it. And I love how she's just like that. They have a break in the meeting, and Yang Chen just goes, "I made it. You're better than me." And then Chasey's like, "What are you talking about?" Or Chasey says, "What are you talking about?" And Nathan's like, "And manipulating people, information. Can we drop the ads, or are we just gonna circle each other forever?" And then this is where, like, this is just I weirdly, I don't know why I love this is one reason why I love Chasey so much. That she's not a bender. She's not some very um ma- she's a mastermind, but she's not some this big like threat. But she's just smart and calculated, and she actually likes. I think she actually likes Yang Chen. Like she says to her, "You seem to believe we're at odds. In words, you've imagined your pride is at stake." Avatar, if there's one thing I've learned over the years is that you should never bring your pride into the table. And she says, some helpful advice to a young woman whom I greatly respect and view, forgive the presumption, almost as a little sister. Like, she's not lying here when she says this, which is so like it's weird to me. Also, it's great writing, and it's
It's
like
refreshing and it's such an engaging villain thing to be sort of that relatable or that close at hand.
yeah, like Chicey probably does. It's funny. Now that I think about it, she is a much better Fire Lord, um, Fire Lord Sozin than Fire Lord Sozin. Like that relationship dynamic, like Fire Lord Sozin to Avatar Roku, is like that brother. Like he comes to him like, "Oh, I have a plan for the future of the Fire Nation and the world," and Roku's like, "I can't be bothered with this." And Chasey is like, "I have a plan for the future in the world," but I buy more that Chasey actually likes Yang Chen, and she actually thinks Yang Chen will go through with this plan because it's like, you
I
can
think she
benefit from it.
Yeah, I think she assumes that Yang Chen's gonna sort of take the not the path of least resistance, but like the safest path for the largest number of people.
Yeah. Um, which this part, and I think one that I mentioned before 2 hours ago. Gosh, that's not even an exaggeration. I mentioned before that maybe one of the reasons why we got more of an introduction to Jet soon was because is to see how does a sister relationship look to Yang Chen compared to this relationship. Um, and this one is so much different. Like it probably pisses Yang Chen off when Chasey says almost like a little sister. Like she's like, no, I had a big sister, okay, and you are nothing like her.
But she doesn't
It wasn't written.
really
It
she
wasn't
doesn't
written in
react that
here.
way. She does a good job of holding it in. Like her plan is in motion.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It wasn't written in here in her thoughts or anything, but I felt that. Yeah, that's great writing. When I feel something from the character that's not even on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, and then she goes on to say, "I don't think it's fair. Avatar Hood, it never seemed fair to me." And then Yang Chen thinks she's talking about how the Avatar has all this power and stuff. But then to Yang Chen's surprise, she says, "It's not fair in the other direction. To you and your predecessors, the injustice you face is simply awful. Some carnival show of politics like the Platinum Fair happens, and history declares it's the fault of a child who had no choice in their anointing." Um, and then she goes on to say, the Avatar Hood is they should be you shouldn't even have to have all this great responsibility.
Mm-hmm. No, she's making a hell of a pitch. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then she goes on to her other pitch. This is a really good pitch, I would say. Like she's softening up Yang Chen and stuff.
Peak
But her
relatable
pitch,
villain so far.
yeah, her pitch is that she would uh, remain control of John Dory and all the trades that flow through it. So her role as Zondu will become a lifetime role. It'll be hereditary, and then upon her death, the title and responsibilities will pass to her heir. And she's like in her her pitch is part of it is that I am the most competent official to hold this position in the history of the Shang system. I have a vested interest in teaching my own flesh and blood to be equally diligent. I provide a bedrock of stability in uncertain times. It's like, you
She
know
says the
what? What
phrase
she's pitching.
rotating crop of fools. I thought was kind of a funny way to describe, like, yeah, like when you're just cycling through other idiots.
Yeah. And they were idiots. Awashi is an idiot. Inchi, idiot. Like,
Yeah.
most of them are idiots. But you know, even the smartest of them, like Chicey, is still in it for her own gain. And I
Yep.
think that's one of the parts that takes
But
Yangchen out.
they're getting peak relatable villain in the sense that, like, no, I totally get, like, yeah, that's a viable pitch that she's throwing out there. Absolutely.
And then this is her ending pitch. She did work on this pitch. She clearly had like, all right, I'm gonna hit this point, this point, this point. Like
Practice
this
in
is how you
front of the
set up a
mirror. Yeah.
PowerPoint. So this is her I forget what you call it, but her last pitch. Take the gift I've handed you. Allow me to secure my legacy, and then who knows? Together we might work on yours. Like that's almost. I know she's being honest about working on the Avatar's legacy and helping her do whatever Ying Chen wants to do, but it's like a backhanded compliment. It's like, hey Sean, I'm gonna help you. Like you suck. No, oh, she's not saying Ying
But
Chen
as I say,
sucks or
but
anything
it's
like that.
without saying that part.
That's
Like, I get where you're going, though.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, hey, Sean, I'm going
It's
to help
just
you do this thing. And you're like, I didn't know I needed help doing that thing.
yeah. Um. Yeah, that was a really good chapter.
It was a great chapter. Loved it. Especially, well, for a chapter where no action happens, I loved it, which is rare for me.
Yeah. Chapter 30. Choosing sides. In the brawl, White Lotus there's the brawl does is now an all out brawl. The White Lotus member Do, who we were introduced earlier in the book, he gets killed. And while I was reading this, it was pretty good action. And my going through notes, I don't know, I couldn't really. Well, I was reading it weird, but I don't know. I don't have a good
I
grasp memory
I have a
of
hard time
the
following this one
action.
because there were so many names and people to try to follow.
True.
So I
Yeah,
have
there
a
was
little bit of a hard time.
Teal and stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
Tail. But I get the sense from this is that hey, Kavik keeps getting hurt a little bit, and this White Lotus member saved him somewhat, and he died.
Yep, I think that's the right take. But there's commotion. White Lotus still kind of sort of sees him as an asset.
Yeah,
So then he kind of sort of gets kidnapped. Uh,
yeah.
it,
Chapter 31, casualties. Right? Is that?
um, is that when that happens?
Yeah, I think it happens in chapter 31. His brother takes
No,
him.
actually, he
Brothers.
gets at the end of the previous chapter. He
Okay.
sort of gets kidnapped and pulled away, and then he gets stabbed.
Oh, you're
And then that's
right.
the end of the chapter. And he hears a voice that says, "I
Why did
told
I
you
forget
exactly what
that?
I would do if I caught you betraying the Avatar." Jujinta muttered in his
That's
ear,
right.
and so that's when you're wondering. At least this is where I started wondering, like, what did they really talk about in this last discussion that they had when
You know
with
what?
all Team
I
Avatar?
I will admit I was all along with I was following and believing because Eugenia's freaking crazy that just a hint of betrayal he would stab uh he would stab Kavik.
Yeah, I mean, it had me going for sure. So, but
Yeah.
now on to casualties,
Okay.
and in casualties, what it turns into is essentially learning that Kavik was bait to trap Kalyan, and so trying to get his brother healed, Kalyan is, and then that draws them into a house,
Hmm.
and it turns out that in that house is where Team Avatar is, and that it's trap, a Kalyan trap. And then
Yeah.
I think it's even
Uh
in this chapter I think this chapter kind of does it top to bottom. Like in this chapter, you even figure out that Kavik was in on it all along.
Yeah, it leads to it a little bit. You pretty much get the sense that yes, he's fine. Um, and yeah, because they do the whole like, oh, did you get that type of deal? Like, did you, So they torment Kalan by like tormenting Kavik by like putting pressure on wounds and stuff, threatening to kill him, and then even Kalan's like, why would you do this? Isn't this your ally? And they're like, Psh, he's not our ally. So I was really buying
We'd have
this.
stabbed this bitch yesterday if Yangchen would have let us.
Yeah. And then yeah, pretty much like you said, and this is the lowest Kylan has been because he is begging for his brother's life, like please, like what are don't like let him live, and they're like tell us where unanimity is, and he finally tells them where unanimity is, and then the trigger for it is three gongs. And once he hits three gongs, he will go and blast this certain area.
And then when they hear that, Jujinta takes off.
Yes.
And then right at the end, Akudan says to Kavik, I'm envious your brother chose you over the mission. I guess there is no stronger bond than family. And that's your tip off that, like, something
Yeah.
weird going on.
Yeah, that they were all in on together. Chapter 32, Blinking First. Yangchen loses her ish, loses all composure, and she strikes the gong three times. Like, and it's she does it in a way of just like, that's one. And then this built really great tension. I think this was a good time of the time
Okay, but
switcheroo.
this didn't tell things out of order. It was following two timelines, and it was well. That's the
Yes.
difference to me, is that it
Yeah.
was well balanced between the two timelines, or between the
Yeah.
two. What do you want to call it? Two plots.
Uh-huh. Because at a certain point, you're not sure when is what happening. Yeah, because last time we saw, like, all right, three gongs. Jinta's going to go get the information. Yang Chen. Uh, but at this point, they were reading it. Yang Chen doesn't know this information, so she rings one gong. And your head as a reader, like, holy crap, she can't. Watch out there, Yang Chen. Just don't be ringing these gongs all
Just,
willy nilly.
I was gonna say the same thing because we don't get to use willy nilly very often in a podcast.
Oh, nice.
First cockamamie last week, and now willy nilly this week.
She rings it a second time, and then like the tension is building, and Chasey is like, "You've gone freaking crazy." And then she rings a third time, and now Chasey is like, "We gotta get the ass out of here!" Like,
We gotta
what
go.
are you doing? Uh, she's like, "We can't stay here." And then Yang Chen says, "Why not? Like, we shouldn't be in any danger. This space is no different from a hermit cell. Surely no harm will come to you by my hand." Like, it was good to see Yang Chen back in control of a situation she was having like no control over for most of this book.
Yeah, or that at least that we felt.
It says with trembling hands, Chicey made gestures of calmness, a few strands of loose hair brushed behind. Like, so I love how they're painting Chicey. She's usually cool, collected. Now she's dealing with the monster that she's cornered, a beast that she's cornered, and Yang Chen. She's crazy. Um, and then Ying Qing kind of then says like, "Oh, I know that it takes three gongs to. That's the trigger for him to blast his place." Now, wait, what does she want? Oh, she makes
She needs to know where he
she.
is.
Well, she. You're right. She doesn't know where she's at. Where he's at. You're right. Yeah, she knows that it takes three gongs, but she needs to know where he's at. So she okay. So she gets that out of Chicey, and then Chicey says like, "I made a mistake. I put us in danger. It's all my fault. My doing." Um, and then Yang Chen, like after. enough like pleading from Chicey, and I think Yangchen feels good about herself. She just like shoots up in the air, really high up in the air, like without the Avatar state. It says so that she can find after she gets the location, so she can find exactly where to go face off against Taipa. She says, "From up here, Taka was so miniature and unreal. She was tempted to take a step out of the whirling funnel to see if she could follow Lahima into the nothingness of legend. Another day, perhaps." She's just so disconnected from the world. Like I really want her to find. I want another book where she finds more humanity.
I
But
don't. I kind of like leaving her in this state. It makes her unique.
okay.
Right?
Uh,
Like what
um.
other avatars is like? What if I just didn't do this right now? I just try to fly instead.
Yeah. So Yang meets up with Thappa, and she tries to tell him like, "Hey, you have a choice here," and but they fight anyway. And then we get into chapter 32, and it says before Taku. So before they ever got to Taku.
Of
So this is
course, of
another
course.
a another little thing. So they go back like before they leave for Taku, but after Thappa breaks out of the Northern Air Temple, uh, not Jetsoon, um,
Yingsu.
Yingsu is alive. She's not dead. And I really liked them two just talking together. And then uh, so Yang Chen ends up learning from Yingsu the location of the island, which okay, but this puts so she learns the location of the island. She also learns more about combustion bending, or just a little bit. Um, but wait, why did they go to the island then?
Well,
Why
she's
did
got
she
to
have?
sell
Oh,
it to
she had.
everybody else.
Yeah, but she also had to find if there were any other survivors. If there was any, the main purpose of going to the island was to make sure there was no more members of unanimity. They could be like she just wanted to find them all because they are pieces on a big chessboard. So that was the main reason why she went to the island. But there was really no reason for the ruse of like, oh, we got to gamble, we got to distract Ayawashi so you guys can get on this boat and steal that information. Really was no reason for that, but she needed to come up with an excuse
She needed
or some fake evidence
the excuse
or fake proof.
and the documentation to some degree.
Yeah.
Um, I do. There's something about this, so I get why they had to do it, or why the author had to do it. There's something about finding out that Yingsu's alive and pass along this information that, like, it does kind of cheapen it a little bit. I'm not saying it makes it bad. Just like, oh well, any author could just be like, nope, didn't actually die, and this was the secret all along. I don't know. There's something about that I don't love as a narrative device. But I'm gonna call it a pretty minor qualm that did not bother
Hmm.
me from enjoying the ending of this book a whole lot. That we are quickly approaching.
Yeah. The thing I love that I think might be in this chapter. I didn't write notes for the rest of these chapters. I believe this is a chapter where Ying Qing kind of tells Ying Su like, "Hey, after this and stuff, like you can just go free. Like you seem like you've been rehabilitated." And that is the point of prison, is to rehabilitate people so that they're better people and have a better understanding of their actions and what good they can do in the world. And Ying Su has come to that point.
Mm-hmm. And taking it a step
Um,
further of like, not like she could just go, but I think she kind of offers to help and stick around, sort of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right, so I'll probably speak very freely on the rest of the spoilers here in this
Yeah.
book because I don't have.
We're wrapping up both ends of the storyline here. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Also, because I don't have like really great notes about it, and so we'll probably mention anyway. But before Yangchen leaves Yingsu, she's like, "Hey, can you practice combustion bending at me so I can practice how to take it on?" She's like, "You're effing crazy." Yangchen is effing crazy.
I love the
Oh,
boldness. Yeah, no additional comment. She is crazy, but I love the boldness and the very pragmatic approach. Like,
yeah.
hey, yeah, I'm gonna
Also,
get bent at some point.
and I need more of this relationship dynamic because I love how they talk to each other. Like, she is so hesitant to try and shoot Yang Chen, and then Yang Chen is like, "What's the matter? Afraid you'll kill the Avatar? You weren't such a coward in Ben Ur." Like, she was trying to kill her, like, earlier, I don't know, a year ago or so, whatever. Uh, okay.
So now we jump back
Uh,
to the present, basically.
you're a horrible little girl, you. Oh, sorry, I'm just laughing. Anyway, so, chapter, I believe, 33, The Burial. Uh, oh, Yang Chen wasn't after I said before. So, Yang Chen is high up in the sky, I think. She fights um, Tapa. She does. She does have a really like the way that she combats combustion bending is unlike anything we've seen. Like she airbends in a way that it cancels out combustion bending. Like we've seen Aang not cancel out combustion bending, but kind of redirect it. Like, there's a shot of Aang, a combustion bending coming at him, and then he does this like air half sphere thing, but it really is just more of a shield because it still blasts him the other way. This nullifies the combustion bending to where it's just like, hey, we're just gonna do this all day. Like, what are we doing here? And I forget how this fight ends exactly.
In some manner or other, she actually, the reason it's called the burial is because he's like trapped, like he's underneath the building, and
Oh
it kind of comes
yeah.
crashing down somehow or other. I don't remember if it's an earthbending move that she pulls off or something like that. But basically, she like buries him, and then I do remember distinctly that she like says a quick little funeral prayer for him,
But she
like
didn't
after killing
kill
him.
him though.
I'm pretty sure she did.
I mean, it was like I would make her responsible for his death. Uh, but like killed in the way of like Batman killing Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight. Spoiler alert for that 15-year-old movie. I'm kidding. There's someone out
She
there.
screwed her foot into the ground. The circle of basement floor around Thapa dropped away, plummeting deep into the earth, taking him with it.
Yeah,
She killed him.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm cool with Yang
Yeah, no,
Chen,
me too.
but
But
it. Wait, let me
she did like directly.
Yang Chen knows his bleeding. Yes, darn, you need help. Okay, so let me read through this real quick. Um, Rose in the sound where she'd come to type of. Okay, Papa shook his head and put his hand to his nose. It came away glistening red. With alarm, Yang Chen noticed he was bleeding from his ears as well. Not her doing this time, not like how she'd injured me were. Thapa wasn't capable of firing again so quickly, not without destroying himself from the inside. Stop, Yang Chen shouted. You need help. Thapa inhaled again, churning his blood into a scarlet froth around his nostrils, but this time his chest failed to reach the size it had during his other attempts. Instead of lunging forward, he jerked to the side, clutching his neck as if his pathway couldn't handle the energy traveling in or out. A tiny incandescent spark burst over his head. Pop, then another and another, like a cloud of attacking fireflies. Pop, 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 pop. I'm sorry, she's I'm sorry, and then what you read, she screwed her foot into the ground. So technically, I think he killed himself.
Depends on when you say he died. I feel like he wasn't dead yet, and she was dropping
Oh,
him.
okay.
I interpreted it as that she dropped him before he could like accidentally damage other people and stuff around, right? Like what by exploding or something crazy like that. I took it as her like making a choice, but it's not clear enough to feel good about that or to feel super confident about that interpretation.
She's either way. She's responsible for his death. I mean, she tried to say. She said, "Stop! You need help."
Yeah, I gave him a shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she says a little prayer, and then she walks past the Earth King
Yeah.
without acknowledging him. Which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, screw you.
Acknowledging the fact that she would no longer be able to uphold her lie to him about spirits or whatever, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Chapter 34, Truth. This seems like a good like Team Avatar come together moment. Uh, um, this is a flashback to the meeting they had yesterday or the day before about letting Chicey win, and then they pretty much kind of go over the plan about what to do.
It's a little tough emotionally to hear that like Kavik betraying his brother.
Yeah,
they powerful emotions and
manipulating
they.
him emotionally.
But at the same time, you also feel like finally, like Kavik's accepted back in the side of right. Like it feels like he's part of Team
Yes,
Avatar
yeah,
again.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, they actually have like a good little laugh together.
Yeah. And then Jujinta, like giving credit to Jujinta for playing his part perfectly and stabbing him just right. I kind of thought that was funny, like just stabbing him just the right amount.
Yeah,
Um, and then yeah, at the very end, they share that chuckle.
yeah. Kavik says something about "I hate you all."
Yeah, they try to
Uh,
muzzle his hair.
yeah,
That's that whole chapter is just wrapping up their side of the plan. And
yeah,
again, some
absolutely.
tense moments and tough feelings about betraying his brother, but mostly good things.
Yeah.
And then the last
The
chapter, I
path
believe.
forward is the
Is it the last
last.
chapter?
No,
Nope. My bad.
I don't think it is.
It's not. You're correct.
Okay,
One more
path
after
forward,
that.
chapter 35, I think. This one has to do with. I'm pretty sure it has to do with Yang Chen kind of. Oh wait. Oh, this is when Yang Chen comes clean to the Earth King.
Uh huh.
Yeah, and then uh, she just like has to explain like, all right, this is what happened the last year or so. Through my own investigations, I came to learn that Zandu uh, Chaisi of Jandari secretly developed a bending technique capable of leveling a city. Like she goes through all of this, and then like there's some type of reaction that the Earth King has that was like he only cared about a certain aspect of it. I forget exactly what it was. I'm sorry. Um, but it was almost disheartening to her. Like, you only cared about this.
I like that. So that like they're on a boat having this talk, and in this chapter you get the entire plan from like Yang Chen letting Chai Si go, kind of out of pity. But then when she's talking to the Earth King, she makes it sound like she's smart. She got away, and
Yeah,
understanding that there'll be like that constant like she doesn't have to watch out for Chai Si because the paranoid Earth King is going to do that for her. Um, and then she lays out all the information about unanimity in general.
hmm
Uh,
yeah.
and then
And then,
I think she pitches that she wants to be the Zongdu of all four.
yeah, yes, and that's almost is that is her pitch more outlandish than Chicey's pitch? Because it's funny because when Chicey was pitching to Yang Chen was like, "Well, why don't you just be the designer of all the cities?" And she was like, "I don't need like the formalities of of being the formal leader. I guess she already controlled them
I'm gonna say
anyway.
no, but only because I believe Yangchen has the intention of getting rid of the Platinum Affair. Right in
Yeah,
Yangchen's mind, whether it comes true or not, she sees it as a temporary thing, and obviously she probably doesn't want to be that. So
she can't be. Like the Avatar, like imagine the next Avatar being born, which is Korra. Like he's not gonna. Each Avatar is different. They all can't
yeah.
do what the other one did.
Well, and just as an air nomad and everything like that, she wouldn't want to be. So I think in my mind, it's okay because in her mind, it was temporary.
Yeah. Yeah. So she will be the Zongdu of like all the cities. Um, I thought her pitch was initially going to be like just do away with the Platinum Affair, but I think she come to consensus of these children can't do this without me, without a babysitter. I gotta babysit them.
I thought she was gonna say end it too, but it's like she needed to secure one more thing, or like the time's not quite right yet, or whatever.
Yeah, or does she? Or maybe she doesn't have faith in them.
Yeah, that could be enough by itself.
Yeah. And then I think he agrees to it pretty much. I mean, he does, but I forget like if it was a reluctant agreement or
It's
not.
I don't remember exactly what happens, but she has to strong arm him a little bit. It's somewhat reluctant.
Yeah. Da, da, da.
Last chapter is called Respite.
Oh well, we forgot to say that she did, which is kind of weird. She threatened the Earth King with combustion bending, like, but she didn't necessarily out Yangsu.
But she didn't. I don't think she told him like that whether or not there is any left or none left or whatever. I don't think he
Well, but
got
like
all the
she has,
information.
but she has like them shoot at a. She has her shoot at the boat.
Right. He doesn't know like which one
Okay.
it is or how many are left. I don't think he has the details. Like he's still pretty uninformed, other than
Yeah.
that their existence and it wasn't spirits.
Although it does. Okay, so she fired combustion bending at him. It says Fishan had never come under fire from unanimity. She would grant him the experience. She called for a second blast. Taegam and Aquadon hadn't liked the idea of Yingsu bombarding the Avatar, but at this point, there was precedent. Come on, Yangchen thought, really let us have it. Yingsu obliged, and the next shockwave spun the boat in a pinwheeling circle. That's interesting. Yangchen looked at the terrified Earth King, holding on to the lashings for dear life. Tea spray dousing him. Understood that this is what I saved you from. Like, okay. Understand that this is what I saved you from. Believe that this is what I could give your enemies. One last bluff. She never permanently hand over. One last bluff. She'd never permanently hand over Yingsu to be exploited by the Fire Nation or Water Tribe, which meant the truth wouldn't get her completely across the finish line. Too bad. The ancient reflect on what she learned from her king conversion style. Uh, yeah, no. So she fully displays that Yingsu is alive, and the combustion bender is still around. But anyway, this is the last chapter. Respite,
Respite.
maybe respite.
Uh-huh.
I say respite all the time, but I know it's wrong.
Heather will get on your case. That's a big funeral word. Yeah, it's the last
Ooh,
chapter.
right. The last chapter. I think it's chapter 36. Respite. What is this about, Sean? Oh yeah, we're kind of Yangchen, I believe, talks to Chicey again, and they pretty much agree to that she's just gonna go off and live a pretty calm life with no huge riches or anything. She'll be fine, but
She's
not
got
the
a
life that she thought she was
crafty
gonna live.
husband and her own wits and a baby. And they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, and like you said, she's Yang Chen is pitting Fei Shin against Chai-Si because he'll keep hunting her and she'll have to keep moving. And that will give Yang Chen some room to breathe.
Well, and let's be honest, probably keeps Fei Shen out of her hair a little bit, also, right? Like that's just like two idiots occupying each other. It's perfect.
Yeah. This part, this her being aeromad, this sentence is interesting to me. So she talks Kavik about her being the Zangdu of like everything. Um, uh, it says this time her approach would be different. She would dip her hands, will let the streams of money and power course through her fingers, and then she divert those flows accordingly. Like she's rich. It's not that she's rich, but she is
In
the
control of all of the cash flow.
yeah. She is like in U.S. terms, she's like the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Is how I think of it.
But and then the difference there again though between or what she's saying is but the money's not stopping at her. There's not a filter at her for the money, right? It's passing through instead of stopping in her pockets.
Yeah. She said I couldn't end the Platinum Affair, so I'm going to own it instead. Jin is a boss.
And I like that she's flawed, and I like that she's
Oh yeah.
frustrated at humans.
Oh man, we forgot. I was about to forget this whole other part of it. The lasting part of this chapter. She goes back into the spirit world, and she meets up with her sister Jetsoon, who is helping lost souls kind of get away momentarily. And then
She's
she has a
tethered by Kavik because they had a specific moment about that lesson earlier,
yeah.
and she has a
I
great
don't have that much to
conversation with
add from.
Jetsoon about uh, you know being where she's at.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't have that much of a way. Like funny because this interaction reminds me of the interaction between Yang Chen and Kyoshi at the end of the Shadow of Kyoshi.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe that's a reminder of it. But I don't have like a huge takeaway from those two talking. Just that it was good to see them talk and good for Yang Chen to get that closure.
It's gratifying closure, and also again, it's just like that lesson about kind of playing the hand you're dealt, or doing the best that you got, or finding content and control with what you can, with wherever you're at, working in your own space. It's a very valuable lesson for a somewhat super powerful, a somewhat crazy, super powerful avatar to hear.
Yep. And Sean, that's the book. The Legacy of Yangchen.
Do you wanna? Do you have like a rating scale you want to throw at this thing real quick, or just some final thoughts? Or
Hmm. Let's see. Final thoughts. I enjoy this book a lot more than the last one, but I think on like when I reread the first one, it'll be better because of this book.
totally agreed. The more I thought about it, the more I thought I think it's my third favorite out of the four. But it's a
Okay.
shame that it because it could get real close to second, if not like a tie for second, third, if it didn't have just one or two of those like frustrating timing
Yeah.
elements. Yep.
Yeah, that time jump so
Just
dumb.
like
But I feel like
author secret keeping. It's weird.
that it's still these books still though don't come close to my enjoyment of the Kyoshi books. Like I love those books
The
so much.
first nothing
There's
nothing has scratched the joy of that first Kyoshi novel for me either. And I mean
Yeah.
nothing, like literally no book that I've read in ages, keeping in mind that I don't read a whole lot of books. So,
Yeah.
yeah, uh, it's a really good book that's got some flaws, and I hope that amidst our complaints that you saw all the other good, positive, fun things that we took out of this one. And yeah, I think it'll make me want to go back and reread all three of the other novels, actually. It's probably high time.
I can tell you're tired. Your eyes are like they're very low.
If you can see them, I imagine they are very red, too. I am tired. But, well, hey,
But we did it.
yeah,
How
we
how
did
long was
it.
that one?
That's hour 35. Previous one was
Oh, that's actually not as long as I thought.
hour 20 or something like that. But
Yeah,
that's as
takes
good.
about 3 hours to go through these books.
It does, yeah. Well, listen, it takes us a lot longer to read them. That's as good a segue as any to say thank you for watching our very spoilery review of the Legacy of Yangchen. And I have no idea what we're doing next week, but we'll figure it out. And we've got 2 weeks to figure it out, and you've got 3 hours of episode to listen to before we figure it out. So thank you. Leave any thumbs up, comment, review, whatever you're willing to spare for us. We appreciate all of it. And let us know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll put all of the details, like always, in the description. Thanks for watching Avatar: The Last Podcasters. That's Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek. I'm Sean Shaler, and I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys later.
1:20 Central
1:20.
Time.
It's too late. Time for bed. Y'all have a
My
good one.
wife has like my wife has. You can keep closing out.
Time to
My wife
close.
has. My wife almost gives me a curfew of 1 o'clock to get in bed because so I don't wake her up.
Otherwise, it's
But
couch
so
time.
I might sleep on the couch. I don't know. It also takes me a while to wind down.
That's a polite thing to do, is to sleep on the couch. Like, it takes me a while to wind down also, but I